Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today I'll be talking about yet another guiding principle as far as habits are concerned, and this is practicing objectivity. For this I will also like to throw some light on cultivating the witness. Now what do we mean by cultivating the witness? I'll just define it. But this is habit number 2, practice objectivity. Between the stimulus and the response, press the pause button. Filter the response through self-awareness, conscience, and visualize the results. Remain mindful of the mission statement of your life. So, last time in the previous 2 clips, I had mentioned that we should try to have self-control and we should not be reactive. And one method of not being reactive is that between the stimulus and the response, you should press the pause button. By pressing the pause button is meant that when you receive some stimulus, you should not straight away react, but you should take some time out and see that the answer or the response that you are going to give is not based on irritation, annoyance or anger, but it should be a calculated response. So between the stimulus and the response, you should give yourself some time to look at your response and judge its fairness. Now, filter the response through self-awareness, conscience, and visualize the results. So, self-awareness is what are your tendencies, generally speaking. What are the things which trigger anger in you? What are the things which make you depressed? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Carry out a quick SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis would mean you take into account your strengths, you take into account your weaknesses, you take into account your opportunities and the threats that you face. Nowadays they say that instead of SWOT you should talk about SWOC, but T has been replaced by C. Instead of threats, perhaps now you use the word challenges. So if you are aware of the chemistry of your system, if you are aware what triggers anger in you, if you are aware what tempts you most, so then you can filter your response, taking into account all these 3 things: self-awareness, conscience, and also visualize the results, that if you behave in a particular way, what will be the outcome? Will you be patted by your master, or will you be punished by your master? And master, of course, is God Almighty. And then remain mindful of the mission statement of your life, which, as we discussed last time, was to be a good human being, to be of service to others, to be happy, to remain happy, and to extend this happiness to those who are around you. So, in this context of practicing objectivity, I will also discuss what Dr. Wayne Dyer has said, and that is under the caption, Cultivate the Witness. And he says, rather than think of yourself as a human being who has thoughts, feelings and behaviors, begin practicing stepping outside of yourself. I am showing you the way to a new kind of freedom where you witness your life and are no longer a dancer choreographed and directed by others. Within all of us, there is the eternal changeless dimension of our higher spiritual selves. This is the invisible I that takes to the physical self. When you are genuinely able to live in that spiritual domain of witness, then nothing goes wrong, because wrong is not possible for the witness. That is, if the soul becomes the captain of your body and psyche, then you can practice objectivity. But once you are compelled by the mind or driven by the mind or the emotions or the body compulsions, then the soul loses its power over you and is relegated to a very secondary status. So when you start practicing objectivity, you allow the soul to become the overseer. You allow the soul to take hold of the psyche of yourself, and then you can practice objectivity. That is, then you start viewing yourself objectively. And where can you view yourself objectively? There are four areas where you can objectively view yourself. First is, you can view your thoughts. You can objectively look at your thoughts, see them entering your body, see them leaving your body, make them appear as well defined objects. Like, for example, when you think of an angry thought, imagine a dragon, you see, fiery dragon spitting out fire. When you imagine a good thought, a peaceful thought, imagine, you see, as if you are looking at a garden full of roses and flowers. So, this kind of an objectivity is required if you want to control your reactivity and if you want to exercise self control. So, first thing is that you start observing your thoughts, right? And the second is you start observing your body. Rather, you can change the priority. First is that you observe your body. The body is the vessel that houses the soul in this material world. The body undergoes various changes from infancy to old age. All the time, you, that is your higher self, remains the same. And what is meant by higher self is the soul. The mere act of non judgmental witnessing keeps your life moving on its sacred quest. And the second category of observation lies in watching your thoughts. Think of thoughts as things, see them assuming a body shape, watch them entering and exiting. Observing the flow of thoughts will slow the mind down to the point where you can experience the loving presence of God. In this present age, the worst addiction which all human beings, most of the human beings are suffering from, is the addiction of thinking. We think a lot. We think a lot, and our thoughts move in circles. It is as if we are in a quagmire of thoughts, and we can't seem to pull ourselves out from that quagmire or that bog. So, the simple exercise of watching your mind manufacturing its thoughts will eventually cause unwanted, unnecessary, erroneous thoughts to dissolve. Learn to observe thoughts, don't own them. As you practice this technique, you will be able to discard the erroneous and ugly thoughts from your system. Self knowledge is detachment, has been said by a very wise person. So, if you can detach yourself from your body to a certain extent, it can't be full detachment, but a certain degree of detachment is required in order to practice objectivity. So, if you are able to detach yourself to a certain extent, then you will be able to control your thoughts. Otherwise, your thoughts will drive you crazy. We tend to pollute our mind with thoughts of anxiety which show their signs in psychosomatic diseases. Like, for example, if you are thinking bitter and sour thoughts, your digestive system is bound to be negatively affected. Similarly, if this element of resentment or bitterness is very severe, then you may start suffering from pains of the joints, or you may start undergoing cramps in your stomach, or you may have severe headaches or migraines. So, we tend to pollute our mind with thoughts of anxiety which show their signs in psychosomatic diseases. The loving, non judgmental energy received from the observer, The witness will allow these thoughts to flow in and out as naturally as the ocean tides.